Good morning, world. You are here on a Friday, the 29th of September, and you are on the Daily Huddle. Whether you're watching us from Africa, Haiti, or right here in Atlanta, in your bedroom or your living room, we welcome you. It's great to have you here. We have a phenomenal conversation for you today. And I have a question for my friend, Tara.
Righty.
Good morning, Tara.
Grand morning.
Today's conversation is anchored in passion, and I have this question for you. Which insects are the most passionate?
Ladybugs, of course.
A specific kind of ladybug, maybe, but you know what? The most passionate insects are romance.
That's good. Oh, that's good.
On this day where we always speak about business and leadership and entrepreneurship, the question of the day is, what is your passion and how does it show up in your life? And that's a critical passion for entrepreneurs, because you could be making a ton of money and be miserable, or you could be doing something you're really passionate about and you're flat broke. So where do we meet in the middle? And our guests this morning are going to give us the opportunity to sink our teeth into that conversation. And before we dive into it, I want to prime the environment and create the space for the conversation with these questions. Good morning, Andrea. It's so great to see you. Tell me, what time is it and who will you be hugging today?
The time is now. Is the only time we have. And I'm going to hug, first of all, myself. And then I'm going to visit a cemetery. A good friend of mine died 3 years ago. So I'm going to be virtually hugging him from wherever he is.
I got it, Andrea. You know, love transcends space and time.
Exactly.
No one exemplifies that more than you do. Thank you for being here. Sheila.
Good morning.
I could ask you just a quick question without saying anything else, but you know, whenever you're present, I have to say you are, you know, Scott, Brad, myself, and many others in this community are where we are and living the life we're living because of your stand. So tell me.
No doubt.
Tell me, Sheila, how are you?
I am great. I am the way I say I am. I am fantastic. I'm happy to be alive, happy to be breathing, and happy to be here with two of my favorite, well, a lot of my favorite people in all the world, but particularly the Olschansky brothers.
The Olschansky brothers are yours. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And Tara, back to you. Where are you?
Where am I? I am only in one place, and that is right here and right now.
Right here and right now. We're here. The time is now. We are the way we say we are. And you could end up at the end of this conversation saying, I am passionate, and then fill in the blanks about something. So the context question for today is, what is your passion and how does it show up in your life? I'm honored and excited to have as our guests, Brad and Scott Olschansky. I'm going to say just a little bit about who they are to introduce you to them. Brad Olschansky and his brother, Scott, yes, they are brothers, twins separated maybe by a couple of years, right? Have been in business together for over 30 years. They are inventors and entrepreneurs. They have pursued their passions by developing health and fitness products. to enhance people's wellness and vitality. Their fitness products have been sold around the world and are in millions of homes and over 10,000 health clubs. They've also developed something called Immersive Sound. Imagine being in your living room. Imagine being in your car. Imagine having headphones on. And what you're experiencing is sound quality that rivals, if not surpasses, IMAX sound quality. I'm delighted to have them here and cannot wait for you to meet them. Good morning, Scott. Good morning, Brad. Welcome to the Daily Huddle.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Sorrel.
Great being here.
You know, this thing about passion, is it for you, for the two of you, take a couple of minutes to answer that as you introduce yourselves. Is it something that you were born into, like you were born and bam, you're passionate about X? Or is it that you actually took action inside of a particular space and having taken action and being in that space for long enough, you ended up being taken over by something? What was it like for you? What's your passion and how did it come about?
If I can speak first, it's a little bit of both. It's interesting, when you first posed the question before we went on air, I was a little dumbfounded by it because I've never really heard anybody, because people always ask you, how'd you get into inventing, why fitness equipment like that? But nobody's ever, or even passion, nobody's ever put it the way that you did, because I think that in our society, it's pretty binary. You have something you're passionate about or you're not passionate about, and that's it. And a lot of people struggle because, they maybe didn't wake up at 5 years old wanting to be a doctor or something else. And what are they going to do now? But that idea of living your truth or just living in a certain way and letting the passion build, that's probably more realistic for a lot of people, because not everybody knows. And I think in my case, it's a little bit of both. I had an interest in those subjects, and as I did them, I got more passionate about them as well.
Yeah. Brad, do you have a different take? Like, did you like come out of your mother's womb and they go, oh my God, an inventor?
That's a great question. And as I look back and now have, Scott has a 5-year-old daughter, I'm the uncle, and being with her, it brings back memories of being young. And I remember being young, playing with toys, whether it was, Tinker Talk toys that you put together. When I was, 5 or 6, I was just like thrilled with like, wow, isn't it amazing how you can take a toy that's all these pieces, you put them together and you can create something. And yet in life, I think when we start to go to school, we forget about that. But it was in the back of my mind. And I think there was a point in time, and again, yourself and Sheila, we were in the conversation like we talked about already today, that what we believe is possible. And I think also growing up in a family with parents that were very supportive, that was also part of that, like Scott was talking about, the nature nurture concept, that they believed in us. I think that created also the atmosphere that we could also do what we had as a dream.
Yeah. And for the two of you, there's kind of an elephant in the room. Siblings, generally, when they turn 18, they go, my God, I can't wait to get out of this place. Boom, they're out. But the two of you have been brothers since you were born, and you've chosen to stick together, work together, create together for over 30 years. I'd love for you to give the world a sense of how did you manage to create that for yourselves?
I just
speak more of sibling rivalry.
Yes, they do.
Sibling partnership.
I think for whatever reason, something was instilled in us by our parents without realizing it. And also there was just a natural chemistry and a natural balancing, because Brad and I are different kind of thing, that just worked. And the idea of not being together and not working together and working with other people instead of being able to work with each other on a regular basis was never an option.
And also we can be, open and honest with each other, and it's not a big deal. I got to tell you one quick funny story. So about 20 years ago, we were hiring an engineer, part-time engineer. He came over, pretty traditional, and we're interviewing him, and we're just having a discussion about life, whatever. And then we hired him. We've been with him 20 years. We're close friends. And he was sharing with us a story like 5 years ago about the first time he met us. And he said, the first time I met you and you guys, I said, I don't know if I can work with these guys because they were arguing so much and yelling. I thought they were going to fight each other.
Well, not yelling, but
arguing. We're going to get a fight. We looked at him like, what are you talking about? But in his world, it perceived that. But our world, we're just like, oh, we're just having fun being honest.
We were shocked. Like, what are you talking about? When did that happen? I don't remember that. And those cultural differences too. We're Jewish, and like the Italians, very expressive, and he was a little bit more traditional, kind of buttoned up Midwestern guys. That was a very different cultural.
That's fun.
Well, it shows. The time is a testament to it, and I want to celebrate your love for each other. So thank you for being brothers, and thank you for being that kind of icon and space for the world to step in. Let's talk a little bit about what you're passionate about. And before we get into that, I'd love for you to address up front the question between passion and money. You talked about that dichotomy earlier where people say, you know what, I can be passionate about X and I'm broke. I'm doing what I'm passionate about, I'm broke. Or I'm making a ton of money and I'm miserable because I cannot really fuel my passion. How have you dealt with that? What is it like for you?
There's no doubt. Yeah. There's no doubt that has been absolutely the biggest obstacle in our life, is trying to balance not only the integrity, not only the realities of life and business and changing marketplaces and all of that, but choosing to do this versus going out and doing something that we're not going to be as passionate about, but it would bring a steady income in. So it's a hard balance. I don't really think there's a easy, simple answer.
Yeah.
And however, we've heard stories about people, whether J.K. Rowling, wrote her books, and she was turned down by 20 publishers before it happened. So when I meet other people and I share, I'm an inventor, an entrepreneur. Everybody, when I say an inventor, say they have an idea. And what I do tell them, I said, well, it's great having an idea, but unless you feel like it's in your bones and in your blood, don't really go for it. So I think there's that quality that when you take on something like that so big, that the money aspect, you can't really focus on that because that's going to distract. You got to be just like 100% focused. No, it's going to happen and you're going to do. It's like sports. That's why I think why we love sports, because it is that competition. And we know sometimes, even though they're the best of the best, why do some teams seem to always be at the top? And I think it's that aspect of like, you got to be 100% in.
Yeah, but to add to that, Brad, and I couldn't agree more, you can have that element, the commitment, the passion, this and that, but then you need to put yourself in a position. And if you're not in the right position, you can have the best idea in the world. It's not going to be fruitful. And what is that condition? Well, we all know we have biases, and we need outside counsel. We need to read books. We need to read blogs. We need to get our minds right so we get out of the way. So whatever position we need to be in order to make it successful, that can happen. Otherwise, it won't work. What are those obstacles? You got to get them out of the way.
Yeah. So you managed to get them out of the way, and you managed to create
sometimes
the centerpiece that's dedicated to the world of fitness. So you are inventors and entrepreneurs. Tell us a little bit about how your passion showed up in life.
Well, there's no doubt that when you're meeting with big companies, the only reason, two reasons. One reason, they got to like the product or like the idea, whatever it is. But really what it is that they're looking for, because they're so kind of devoid of passion. I don't mean to make a generalized statement, but I have, close to 40 years dealing with corporations, that just because of the corporate grind, very few people we've met, we would say were passionate. They were just keeping their jobs, afraid to make a mistake, afraid to make a decision, trying to climb up that corporate ladder. And if we didn't have the passion about our product, we just came in and go, here's the product, works really great. They looked at it and go, yeah, that's a good product that'll sell. It wouldn't work. They were literally feeding off of our passion. They needed our passion to almost give themselves the excuse, for lack of a better word, or to take away the fear that they normally have to make that decision. We're going to take this product on and do it. Otherwise, if we weren't passionate people, there's no way it would ever work. Now they can't think we're crazy. Obviously, the passion's got to be, secured in solid, market realities. But the passion was key for getting any of our deals. There's no doubt about that. In some ways, I wish it wasn't. I wish I could just go there and say, hey, this is a great idea. Oh, you're right, it's a great idea. No, they are so needing that energy from us. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Give the world a sense of the kind of inventors and entrepreneurs that you are by taking us quickly through the life cycle of one of your inventions.
Sure.
Begin with the one you love the most, the one that gave you the most juice. Tell us about that.
Well, I can tell a couple of funny stories, but one I'll tell, which I think I shared with you the other day. When we moved down to Atlanta from Maryland in 1992, we had just signed a big deal here with Atlanta company. So we figured, we're pretty set, and it should have been like that. And we came down to be 5 minutes away from the company. They didn't utilize us to consult. A year later, they dropped the project. So here we are in Atlanta, no income, whatever. So we went back to inventing, coming up with some products, but we needed some funding to get the product on the market. And I was mentioning that we were in a small group, sort of like a meditation group, became friendly with people, showed them what we had, and 8 guys came together and put in $10,000 each and funded the project. We went to a company. We did a joint venture deal because we wanted to be actually part of the vision. And it became, over the next 2 years, our #1 hit. Actually, we were involved with, the story is amazing. So it's a combination of the passion, the work, putting yourself out there and really believing it. And that really was a big start of our fitness career. That was an abdominal product, but we've also done stuff with big corporations that you go into health clubs. So, it's been a great journey.
If it's not proprietary or top secret, could you name some of the products that you've invented to give people a sense of what's in 10,000 health clubs? What's out there?
Sure. Okay. Well, one of the products is manufactured by Life Fitness, which is considered like one of the top manufacturers. If you go into health clubs, you'll always see their equipment. We came up with a circuit line of about 12 machines, and it doesn't use weights. It uses a unique elastomer type of resistance that stays even like weights. And they introduced that back in 2005. So 18 years later, I think it's 18 years later, they're still selling it around the world. So, and there's a couple of health clubs here in Atlanta that have it. And every once in a while I'll go by there and watch people use it, which is, it's quite interesting to walk in there and see them using my product.
That's just amazing. That's just amazing. So the company's name, or the space that you swim in, is fitness products, gaming, media, and all that. But nowadays, you're in the media space doing something really amazing.
We are.
Sure. Well, you're talking about the immersive sound.
Yeah.
Immersive sound, for media, and media is the big category of either television, movies, music, even meditation, and also gaming, esports. So really what we wanted to do, since we've always loved music and we've loved movies because I was a film major, but I think I think we all love movies because it gives us inspiration for what's possible. However, we like the idea that we could watch a movie and still have that amazing experience of being in a commercial theater. And that's what we've been working on over the last 5+ years. And we wanted to make it, like all our products, affordable. So people could buy this, as low as really under $300. And they could, in the privacy of their own home, like you said, create the sound experience of being in a commercial theater or a live concert in the front row.
Amazing. And this product that you're inventing is hot off the press. with possibly the opportunity for regular folks like me to participate in its launch.
Oh yeah, sure, right.
If that's the case, will you be inviting folks to participate? And if so, how and when?
That's a very good question. For me, I take anybody's participation, whether it's financial or their time, unbelievably serious. I mean, like literally, I can't sleep at night kind of thing. We've only really raised money once or twice in our life, and they made their money back many times over. So for me, we're at the stage now where we're going to test the product, and I want to really know, because one thing I've always been shocked by, when they do these pollings for politicians and everything else, it's an incredibly small group of people that they're polling, and yet they can tell you within like a 1% accuracy how the rest of the country or the state's going to poll. It's really an interesting science. So we know if we do some testing with our product and we get the kind of results that I expect that we do, we'll see. Maybe we won't. Then I'll be able to go to these people and go, look, this is going to be a winner. I already can tell I'm getting the same reaction, the same comments, the same interest from 8 out of 10 people. And if we get it out there and we go viral with it, and we're now exposing it to millions of people, it's going to work. So I want to have that security before I turn to anybody else and say, you're not taking a risk here. You're investing in something that's going to absolutely give you quite a windfall back.
Yeah. Now, before we open it up to questions from the people who have joined us here, I'd love to know this cycle of inventing, creating, producing products. How many products have come out of your partnership since?
A lot. Yeah, maybe 30.
Maybe 30.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to hear the numbers so the world can join me in celebrating, your ability to stay the course.
Yeah.
Inside of your partnership, your love for each other as brothers, to continue to learn, grow, and innovate and create products that benefit the world.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that's kept us going, or at least I can speak for myself, is that even though I believe in all these products and they all should have been on the market and people would have loved all of them, and because we're dealing with the corporate world and human beings, everything else, most of the time it doesn't happen. But in some respects, I know. I know we're all looking for validation from the world, and you need money. I understand that, and money's validation, and press is validation, and viral videos is validation. But there's another part of me, like, I know what we've done. I know what these things are. And the fact that we maybe weren't able to get this one or that one to really like take a chance, and that's life. Life turns on a dime. It's circumstances, it's timing, it's who you meet. You don't get the right people. You don't really have as much control as we have. A lot of control in some ways, but we have very little control in other ways. So it's important just to kind of know for yourself who and what you are.
I think also that's where, I'm talking to some entrepreneurs last night, some young entrepreneurs, and I told them, I said, I really appreciate what they've accomplished. And I said, to be an entrepreneur, I think you also have to be spiritually oriented. You have to have that kind of faith. And they said, oh yeah, definitely.
Right.
Well, let's take a moment and give those in the audience who joined us here the opportunity to ask you a few questions. Sheila has a question. Go ahead.
All right. Well, mine is not exactly a question, Sorrel. It's a comment. First of all, that was outstanding, Brad and Scott. I wanted to validate, because I've had the opportunity and the privilege to experience their products. And the product, what did you call the last one? The one that we're looking at now?
Immersive Sound.
Well, you can call it Immersive Sound, sure.
And I just want to say quickly, I had the opportunity to experience it.
You did.
And it was, literally, when I got off this particular chair after experiencing the product, I had tears in my eyes. I was moved. And I was moved by that the music and the sound moved me. I didn't try to be moved. It just moved me. So I just want to share that these brothers are extraordinary, and you guys just re-enrolled me 100%, 110%. And that was just their products and the quality and the integrity that they produce their products with just extraordinary. And then what it takes to be an inventor. I just heard something new today. So, and work with your brother, you know, your sibling. So congratulations. Glad to be here and be a part.
Great. Thank you, Sheila. You know, as Sorrel knows, you've been a very important part of our lives. We met each other 2008, and I'll just make this quick comment. It's like, you know, Sorrel, and this is from a business point of view, sometimes in life you meet someone and you just know, for whatever reason, you're going to be friends for life. And that's how it felt when I met Sheila.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. You know, Sheila, the other thing I get that moves me now is that the passion Brad and Scott speak of, they inject in the products they invent.
Yeah.
So even when they're not around,
That's right.
I assert that people sit at an exercise equipment and they find themselves in tears because they're to be passionate. Right.
Yeah,
So,
that's exactly. Yeah, we want to make sure we are in the product. We are, our heart and soul is in the product, even though they might never know who we are or meet us.
Yeah. You know, thank you for that, Ronald. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is just a quick question. Is there your products or you know, so if everything packaging into like what Brad and Scott has created, that I could link into and kind of really see? Do you guys have a website?
Yeah, we're doing all that now. We have like 10 versions of this technology, and I'm producing 10 little short, like 1.5 to 2 minute videos and probably a 2-page website on each one. And once that's done, then I can send it out to anybody and they can say, oh, I like this one. I like that one. And then they can come actually and experience it themselves. There's no way for us to, I mean, you can watch all the incredible reactions that people have. You can, you know, see all the explanations and the graphics of the technology, but because it is experiential, there's no way you can fully, you might say, look, I can tell that's going to be great just by everybody's reaction, but you're not going to fully get it. Nobody can, impossible, until they actually experience the product. And that goes for our fitness equipment too. Our products have to be experienced to believed.
Right. I mean, this is fantastic. I guess, you know, I just had to add, your partnership is definitely commendable. I mean, in this day and age of bickering between siblings, I think you guys should probably write a book about your partnership.
You know, it's funny you say that, because if you go on Amazon, shockingly enough, there's a million books, mother-daughter relationships, obviously couples, we know, of course, but there's almost no books on sibling relationships. Go in there, put in, I mean, obviously we've all heard of sibling rivalry, of course, and birth order and all that. But as far as books on siblings getting along, and I know for a fact, whatever, statistically, that about half of siblings have a sibling that they don't talk to, especially if they have multiple siblings. And what's also happening in today's society, and obviously we could talk about what's happening in today's society for the next 10 days straight, so I won't do that. But what's happening now is children are blanking or ghosting their parents. This is becoming a phenomenon where they're just, because of, you know, they can't deal with disagreement and everything else. And like I said, I don't want to get too down the culture wars kind of thing, but that is a statistical fact that more and more children are just not talking to their parents.
Yeah, Sorrel, this is a comeback, man. This is a comeback.
There will definitely come back as Immersive Sound evolves. I'd love that. Brad and Scott, I'd love for you to end on this note. If someone were to say to you and ask this question, I want to be bit by the passion bug, what would you say to them?
Well, again, it gets back to that, you know, you do something, and that, you know, we all heard the adage about that if you smile, you feel better, and people think, oh, I'm waiting for the emotion to hit me. I'm going to sit around, and when I feel good, I'm going to smile. And it's actually the other way around. It's the doing something, and then the feeling comes from doing. When we're down, we've all been down, and you start to do volunteer work, you start to help people, you feel better, versus sitting around and waiting for yourself to feel better. So even with passion, I would say do something. Just find something that you reasonably, and obviously not something you don't like at all or doesn't interest at all. That's not going to work. But something you reasonably like or interest in, and you start hanging around those people and doing it. And I think the passion might come. Now, if you naturally have it, then you're going to learn all about it, pursue where the money is, talk to people that have already done it so you can learn from them. But otherwise, you have to find something and do it, and the feelings will start coming, hopefully.
What do you want to say on the matters, Brad?
Well, I would say, being in groups. I mean, this one right here, Daily Huddle, to be around people and conversations that we're talking about what's possible. I think you can start to see that it's not so far removed, because people might think like, well, I can't do that. But when you're around other people in conversations, you start to say, well, geez, they're doing it. I can do it. So I think that's important too.
And for me, I don't care what it is, it's the people. Like the problem with the corporate world, we were, fairly larger companies, didn't like the people, they didn't have this kind of consciousness. So in some respects, I don't care. I could be packing worms all day long, but if I'm with people that are passionate and living with integrity and all that, I'm going to be happy. So it always comes down to people.
Well, and two of those people are you.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you
that.
for blessing us with your passion. Thank you for blessing us with your generosity. I'm looking forward to having you on again. Just the Daily Huddle family, just adopting immersive sound and
Absolutely
fanning the fire, fanning your passion. And
well, though I don't know most of the people here, Sheila and of course Yusrael, I do want to thank each and every one of you just for your time and just listening and being here. And I'm just that way. I wear my heart on my sleeve, so I feel connected to all of you, even though we haven't met. But I just want to formally thank you guys.
Yeah, and definitely know that everybody's dream can definitely come true. I mean, we're firm believers in that. Yep. And if anything you get from us is like, okay, yeah, it's like we start off, with just a dream. I remember 30 years ago, someone interviewed us and said, what would you like to do? And we're just starting, we'd like to take on the biggest company in the world, at that time, fitness. 20 years later, we signed a deal with that company, a major 3-year deal. That all came out of that initial intention that we put out when we had nothing.
That's true.
So it's interesting how the world can work like that.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I wish everybody the best. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Scott. Amazing.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Thank you.
Thank you.
Daily Huddle family, this is it. Another week has come to a close, and celebrate this. Today was episode 915.
Jesus.
Right.
When we started this, I told Giovanni, and he just jumped out of his chair. I said, Gio, we won't stop until we get to episode 1000. So he and I are concocting this little idea about when we get to 950, we're going to count down the upcoming 50 episode to 1000 with something special. We've got Tara Heaton, Catherine, and we've got other co-hosts who are going to assist us in creating something for you. I'm inviting you to celebrate your passion. I'm inviting you to celebrate the Daily Huddle as a good habit to have. We'll see you on Monday. Of course, we'll leave you with these 8 tenets. Love hard. Laugh like you're crazy. Eat as if your life depends on it, because it does. Stress less. It's not that serious, okay? Wake up every morning. If you're stressing, look up a bad dad joke and tell it, and you'll be fine. Give of your heart, give of everything you have. Move and sleep. And last but not least, check your assumptions. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I'll see you here on Monday.
Great weekend.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad, Scott. Thank you, Sorrel.